right, let's start. Okay, elements, compounds, mixture. All right, first question, we jump straight into the question. Now, for this question, right, the concept that this question is trying to test you is in the yellow box. All right, so I have typed some important notes for everyone. Okay, so let me use my laser pointer. So I talk most matters. Of course, in the world, there will always be special cases. Just like in primary school, you all learn that most mammals give birth, just like your mother gives birth to you. But there are always some special case mammals. There's always exceptions. Some mammals actually lay eggs, all right, like spiny anteater. So same thing for science in secondary school. Most metals are good conductors of heat, good conductors of electricity. All right, most metals have high melting point, high boiling point. Okay, and most metals have high density. High density, can you help me type into the chat or unmute yourself, because it's quite a very cozy small class, which means you will have a lot of attention from me, which is good value for your money. Can you tell me, what do you understand by the word high density? Anyone, either the chat or unmute yourself. What do you understand by the word high density? Okay, let's check. Unluck, would you like to try? What do you understand by high density? It's okay even if you get the wrong answer. We are all here to learn. Nothing shameful about giving wrong answers in Miss Ivy's class. So Unluck, do you know what it means by something having high density?
The higher the density, okay, how am I supposed to explain this? High
Okay,
density,
yes,
if
yes, go
an
on.
object has high density, it will
Okay,
sink in an
well,
object with low density, in a liquid with low
done.
density.
Well done. Excellent. I shall call you Professor Unluck. I pronounced your name correctly, Unluck. Now, Unluck said it in a perfect way, all right? Then if I were to even simplify it, it would mean that now, do you all know what is the density of water?
1.
Okay, good. So density of water, very easy to remember. This is your first number that you learn in kindergarten, 1. So it's actually 1 gram per cm cube. All right. So anything that has any substance with a higher density than 1 gram per cm cube will sink. All right. So if you have a bigger number, think of bigger number like heavier like that. Although higher density does not mean heavier, but it is like heavier. But please don't write higher density means heavier. It's wrong concept. All right. So higher density means, all right, it was going to sink in water. If you're comparing to the density of water, anything with, let's say if I tell you, oh, the density, okay, let's take a look at this, 0.97. 0.97 substance C, the density of 0.97 gram per cm cube. Can you tell me, will it float on water or will it sink in water? Everybody type in the chat, float or sink? Float or sink for substance C. I have a very cozy class, which means I expect all to give me response for easier for me to track. I have 2 responses only, so I should have 6 people. I only have 6 people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So good job, Harvard. Good job, Jude. The rest, Chloe, Kiran, Sheena, would you like to type your responses into the chat? I hope you're at the laptop, by your computer. Or you want to unmute yourself? Kiran, you're saying the answer is D, is it? But I'm asking about density of C is 0.97. Will you expect C to float or you expect C to sink in water? So that's my question. Will C float or will C sink in water? I'm comparing to water. All right. So yes, 0.97 is smaller number. All right. So let me write here, smaller than 1. If I'm using water, smaller than 1. Therefore, it will float on water. Okay. Then if you talk about, for example, 3.1, or maybe I will compare 8.96. 8.96 is bigger than 1. All right, I'm using 1 is because 1 is the density of water. 1 gram per cm cube is the density of water. Therefore, any number bigger than 1, it will sink. All right, sink in water. If you're comparing to water. Okay, so same thing here, this will sink, this will sink. All right, because these two numbers are bigger than 1. All right, so only 0.97 is smaller than 1, so it will float on water. Okay, so just take note, for most metals, they will usually sink. Most metals will sink in water, except for group 1 metals. All right, so group 1 metals actually have low melting point, low boiling point. Group 1 metals actually have low density. So in other words, group 1 metals are all your special cases lah. So examples of group 1 metals will be, anybody can give me an example of a group 1 metals if you remember your periodic table? Anyone? Any example of a group 1 metal, please? You have lithium. You have sodium. Right? You have potassium. It sounds like all the zium. Okay, so lithium, sodium, potassium are group 1 metals. All these metals have low melting point, easier to melt, easier to boil, and they most of them float on water. All right, so but metals usually high density, meaning you expect it to sink in water. All right, and then high melting point means, can you all tell me high melting point means easy to melt or difficult to melt? Anyone unmute yourself? Easy to melt or difficult to melt? It's a very small class, so you all can unmute yourself so that we can move faster. High melting point means easier to melt or difficult to melt. All right, thank you, Harvard. All right, it'll be harder to melt or more difficult to melt. All right, so it needs high energy. Okay, it needs a lot of heat before you can melt it. Okay, it needs a lot of heat energy to melt the substance. All right, so harder to melt. You need to heat until a few hundred or few thousand degrees Celsius. Then the substance melts into liquid. All right, so most metals, all right, can conduct heat very well, can conduct electricity very well. Most metals very hard to melt, very hard to boil because they need a lot of heat energy, high melting point, high boiling point. Most metals sink in water because they have high density. Special cases are group 1 metals. Group 1 metals like lithium, sodium, potassium have low melting point, low boiling point, low density, everything low. All right, so I'm going to maybe make it like this. All right, so these are special cases. Okay, the group 1 metals are special cases. They have low melting point. All right, I use short form, low melting point, low boiling point, and they have low density. Some of them float on water. Can you imagine a metal that floats on water? All right, so lithium floats on water. Sodium floats on water. It's interesting. You have a metal that can float on water. That's group 1. All right, so back to the original question, which one is copper? Now, copper is not in group 1. So copper is the same as most metals. So you expect it to be having high melting point. Now, what is considered high? These two are high. All right, if you see negative, it's considered low. All right, so high usually is more than 500 and above. All right, and then electrical conductivity should be good. Okay, then density, it should be quite high, more than 1. So more than 1, more than 1, more than 1. All right, I expect most metals to sink in water, so more than 1. So if you look at the ticks, the answer will be D. It means correct. Right, any questions so far? It's an easy question, right? If you know the yellow, the concept in the yellow box. Right, let's move on. Now, which one about pure metals are correct? So pure metals are like this. Now, I written this, I just look from the periodic table, all right? So can you tell me, all right, I have 6 students. I'm going to write 6 symbols. You're going to tell me what it stands for. Let me think, what other metals do I have? Okay. Okay, so sodium, magnesium, calcium, let's see. What other things? Okay, maybe this one easier one for you. All right, I have a total of 6 students. Each of you take a, I will just call names like easier. Enak, give me the first one. MG stands for? All these are metals.
Magnesium.
Good. Next person, Chloe. If you don't know, just say don't know, it's okay. Chloe, do you know what is Fe? Which metal? I give you a hint. Starts with I. Chloe,
Is iodine a metal?
say again.
Is it iodine or?
No. Iodine is a non-metal. All right, iodine is a non-metal, but good try. Another metal that starts with I. I give you another clue. Before you can wear your smart uniform to school, what must you do to your
Iron?
uniform? Iron. You must iron your uniform. So Fe stands for iron. Although you'll be wondering, huh? Why Fe? You see the letters I, R, O, and nothing with F, nothing to do with E, because it comes from the Latin word ferrous. All right, they use the Latin name, not the English name. So the English name is iron. All right, next person. Don't worry if you don't know, just say don't know. All right, some of these are difficult. All right, Harvard, would you like to try PB?
I'm not so sure.
No worries, I give you a clue. Okay, it starts with L and it's 4 letters.
Lead?
I give you another clue. It's in, you know, pencil. If you have a
Yeah, lead, right?
lead. Yeah, lead.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. However, pencil lead has nothing to do with the metal lead. Pencil lead is actually, you know, your pencil lead is actually, although English word we say pencil lead, right? Pencil lead is actually carbon. And carbon is a non-metal. It's not a metal. So take note of that. Although in English word we say pencil lead. So this lead is a metal. All these are metals. Okay, all these are metals from the periodic table. All right, next person, Jude, would you like to tell me Na? Start with S. It's not easy.
Is it sodium?
Good. Sodium. You see, nothing to do with N, nothing to do with A. All right, so it comes from the Latin word. Next person, Kiran, do you know what is tin? Do you need hints? 3-letter word. Let's start with T. Which metal starts with T? You know, when you go and tapao coffee or milk, I don't know, coffee or tea from the coffee shop, some of them don't use plastic bag. Instead, they use what kind of cans to carry your coffee and milk. All right, good. Tin. Oh, I see it in the, all right, in the chat, Kiran. Thank you, tin. All right, so luckily there's a letter N, but there's no letter I. Only got letter N. Okay, then the last one, Sheena, what is Ca?
Calcium.
Good. This is the easier one. You're lucky you get the easier one. Now, these are all the metals that you all must make friends with. And when I say make friends, if you look at the periodic table, there are more than 100 elements. So, but out of the 100 elements, these are the important metals that you all must know. You'll be tested in set 1, you'll be tested in set 2, you'll be tested in set 3 and set 4. So please make friends in magnesium, iron, lead, sodium, tin, calcium. These are the more common metals. Okay, so all these metals come from the periodic table. All right. Can you tell me, are they elements? Yes or no? Can we use, can we unmute yourself so that it's faster? The lesson can go faster, then can play games later. Are they elements? Quickly. Not sure, tell me not sure, then I can explain. Are they elements? Yes or no? Okay, Jude, are they elements?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Well, all y'all have very nice voices. Now, I tell you what is the meaning of element. Look at capital, only one capital letter. So, for example, if I have this, is this an element? This one, is it an element? It has capital N, it has capital C, so obviously not element. So everybody know what is element? Just look for how many capital letters there are. If you see only one capital letter, it's an element. I give you another one. Let's say this one.